everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor. Welcome to my channel. And before we start this interview with our great guest, Taisha Presley, we also want to welcome you and invite you to subscribe to the channel as we got great stuff going on. We're trying to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We are almost there and would appreciate your help along the way. And let's get into it as we talk about wellness and what it means to have a good relationship or a healthy relationship with food and setting realistic, meaningful goals when it comes to our fitness and becoming accepting of our bodies. Let's jump into it. Great conversation and take it away. Hi, thank you so much, Ty, for joining me. For those who don't know, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor. I have here a special guest, so I'll let her introduce herself. Ty Presley here. We're going to have a conversation about wellness. Mm-hmm. I think that it's a great way to frame this about wellness because like we were having a conversation in our pre-interview about how some words, we can kind of attach ourselves to some words and they can be really activating because of our experience with our bodies and what our systems surrounding us can attach meanings to our bodies and what these words mean. And so I think wellness is a nice place to land. So one, I want you to introduce yourself and talk about why this is something that's so important for you and what you are providing in this space of mental health.
Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. I am Taisha. I go by Ty Presley. I am in North Carolina. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm the owner of Legacy Empowerment Services. We're in Charlotte, as I said, and we work with adolescents and young adults who have experienced some type of dysfunctional childhood upbringing, and they want to rehabilitate their lives. And so that's what we help them to do. And so what I have found is that trauma, dysfunction, it touches every part of our lives, doesn't it? And so one of the parts of our lives that it touches is our wellness in terms of our physical health, the way that we live in our bodies, and not only the way that we live in our bodies, but how we see our bodies and so function in our bodies. And so my practice, we have a wellness division, a physical health division. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about that particular part of the work that I do in Charlotte.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell me a little bit, what does the wellness division of your practice, what does that look like? Because I saw like week programs.
Yes.
And that was very intriguing. These programs that you have.
Yeah. So I have a couple of programs that I offer. I have like a couple of what word am I looking for here? I have a couple of iterations of one particular program. It's called the Rehabilitate Your Fitness Journey program. Okay. So I'm a licensed counselor, but I'm also a rehabilitation counselor. And so that's I use that rehabilitation to kind of coin everything that I do. And so for me, in my work with a lot of Black women around our medical health, physical health, I found that a lot of us approach weight loss by either what we eat or how we kill it at the gym. And for a lot of us, a lot of Black women, that's not the source of our problem. That's not the root of it. For many of us, for some of us, yes, but not the majority of us. For the majority of us, look, we are managing a lot. We are managing these big families. We are the strong Black women, right? And as such, so there have been studies done about just Black women and the reasons that they are overweight. And a lot of that reason is because of depression, like mental health reasons, depression, bipolar, anxiety. And so if we are just addressing our medical health, our physical health, our weight loss from just the lens of killing it at the gym and what we choose to eat, then we are missing it. We are really missing it. And so we are totally ignoring a big part of the picture. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it showed up in my world, okay?
Absolutely.
So I've been on my own fitness journey for a very, very long time, for over 10 years. And so I said all my life I've had to fight. I always say that. It's kind of funny. Like all my life I had to fight, meaning, So I grew up, of course, mommy, daddy, they're cooking for us. But when I go to college, I don't know how to cook because we eat soul food. This is what we eat, a particular diet, right? And so I didn't know anything about nutrition, healthy eating, anything like that. And so I go to college, and freshman 15 turns into freshman 20, turns into freshman 50. And before I know it, I am like 304 pounds. Freshman year.
Yeah.
And so I didn't start struggling at that point. And so it wasn't until I decided to start losing the weight that I consider it a struggle, because that's when my yo-yo dieting started.
Okay.
Because again, I didn't know anything about weight loss. And so I started just really restricting myself, just starving myself, really. And so through that starvation, I lost a lot of weight. But what happens when you can't starve yourself for the rest of your life? You start eating and you pick the weight back up.
It comes right back. Yeah.
It comes right back. And so I got into this cycle, Alicia, of losing the weight, gaining the weight, losing it again, gaining the weight, like multiple times over. And then I've done a little bit of everything. I've starved myself. I've had keto. I've done tomato soup diets, lemonade diets. I've done popcorn diet. I've done fast, detox. And I don't think that we as Black women recognize that detoxes and fast and all this stuff is not healthy. If we're doing it to manage our weight, it's just not healthy. And so that has been my experience in terms of just trying to just get to a weight that I'm feeling comfortable at. And then we got to get to that part of it too, right? But getting to a weight that I feel comfortable at. And then once I get there, do I like my body? Do I even like it? Ooh. So there's a lot here.
Yes, you touched on so much. I'm like, okay, let's talk. Let me talk. But yeah, so like even in a space where for you, you're sharing your journey, not knowing what healthy food is, you know, so there's so much that is just left to be assumed or just not have the conversation. So my child is 21, so he's going to college at home. And so I said, we're dealing with, managing our health. I said, well, do you know what a carbohydrate is? And he's like, no.
What's that?
And I realized I'm like, you have been having a fussing at myself. You've been having a battle with health and wellness your whole life. You didn't take the time to educate yourself on a carbohydrate. But it's just conversations we really don't have because we're battling so much, trying to make sure the kids and everybody just stay alive, clothed, and educated.
Especially during a pandemic.
Let me take time to educate you what a carbohydrate is, to know how it functions in your body, especially if you're battling a sinus issue, that carbohydrates aren't going to be the best for you. It's going to create more inflammation in the body, right? So it's like helping to educate and having those important conversations is sometimes missed. And it leads to us making not the best decisions and not understanding our body, not understanding how it functions, how carbohydrates and like antidepressants are like, it's so much information about that. And then for you to say, man, okay, I'm trying all these fads, because it pops up as the keto, it's the paleo, it's, the lemon burn, all of these things that pop up, but still after a while, you're something inside of you is still like knocking at the door saying, I need to be addressed. Okay. We were successful, but it's not working.
There's still something there. And so for me, how that realization came up for me is that I lost like 126 pounds, and I kept it off, Alicia, for like 4 years. I kept it off for 4 years. And then my father died. my father passed away.
Right.
And you know how your relatives come to your home and, they're taking care of the immediate family, of course. And my cousin goes, I bought some pizza. You want some pizza? And I wasn't hungry. I absolutely was not hungry. But in that moment of just feeling really stressed out, managing my father's last wishes, dealing with the emotions around him passing, that transition, it was sudden. All of that. In that moment, I said, oh, well. That's exactly what I said. Oh, well.
You don't even understand.
Yeah.
In 2014, my father passed.
Yeah.
I have reached probably the highest weight I ever reached.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother me. Because I think there's a point where grief hits you, where you have to go to a place to find your motivation that you never went to before.
Absolutely.
and to make sure, like, okay, I need to find some way to manage myself in a way that serves me. Yeah. And because you're in the waves of grief, and it's like grief.
Life doesn't stop.
No.
Life doesn't stop. No. Life doesn't stop.
Okay, so we could talk about this, because I'm like, oh, okay. All these things, it's like me and you don't even know how many parallels are happening in this conversation.
Wow.
I went to school in New Orleans, like the great food capital of the United States.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was just like, oh my goodness, all the food here.
Yeah.
And so yes, all of these things are, and I think that it's not just us, Ty. Like these are regular things that do happen to Black women. We gain the weight in college. We gain the weight after huge life experiences. So my question to you is, what does like a healthy relationship with food actually look like?
Yeah. I you know what? I think that people don't think about that. I think that we use food for so many different things, especially in our community, like food, just in community, period. Like sometimes food, there's a social element to food.
It's connected to everything for us. It's connected to everything. We mourn. It's a treat. It's a reward.
It's a reward. Everything is this. The food can sometimes be the center of everything. But if we're not careful, the way that we relate to food can become destructive to us.
Absolutely.
It can if we're using food to punish ourselves. Meaning, if I was bad, meaning Thanksgiving time is like huge for a lot of people. The day after Thanksgiving, people start doing these fasts or they start exercising a lot because I have to punish myself because I overate. Or what about as a reward? If I had a great day at work, then I need to go and get whatever, right? I remember, I was an emotional eater, right? And my trigger was Friday.
Oh yeah.
My trigger was Friday.
Yes.
And so every Friday, my routine was I would stop and go get ice cream, a pint of ice cream, and I would because it was comforting to me. It was my relationship with food. When I work with some women, sometimes, especially if they have a dysfunctional family upbringing, sometimes food can be very comforting. And so they develop this relationship with food, that food is my friend. Food will never disrespect me.
It's faithful.
It is faithful. Food is faithful. And but it's not that is not healthy. Food is not supposed to cause you distress. It's not supposed to impact your world in that way. So I consider a healthy relationship with food a relationship where you are able to not see it as a reward, not see it as a punishment, but just as a natural extension of you needing it just to fuel your body. Food is fuel. That's all it is. It's fuel. And yeah, we can have an enjoyment from food. There's some people that think that they can't enjoy food. That's not healthy. Yeah. It's not healthy. It's not healthy.
Yeah, there has to be a balance is what I'm hearing you say.
There has to be a balance.
I heard my grandfather used to say this, that you don't eat to live. You don't you don't live to eat. You eat to live. Like you're not just allowing food to be just kind of everything. You're everything.
It's not everything. Yeah.
And living in the moment. Like I noticed I did a financial fast. I think it was the beginning of 2020, before before the pandemic really took over, and I realized in my financial fast how much I was using food to do certain things in my life. I'm like, oh, I had a hard day at work. I'm gonna go get some food, and it wasn't even like, it didn't have to necessarily be like an unhealthy food, right? So I'm like, I'll go to Whole Foods and get me my favorite smoothie. And, but it was just like, I had to kind of recenter. Yeah. Right? Like, food doesn't have to be my all in all, doesn't have to be everything. I can tap into other things that can bring me joy outside of food. Yeah.
And it's so tricky because food does release chemicals in our brain.
Absolutely.
Hello, dopamine, one of the best chemicals ever, right? Give me some dopamine. I want all the dopamine.
Right? Serotonin. It's like, what?
Give it to me. So then it's easy to get stuck in this cycle of, let me eat this food to escape because I'm experiencing some pain in this moment. So let me go to get something that makes me feel good. And then your brain starts to rewire and it starts to then rely on food in order to feel good. Yeah. And then you have a difficult time of sorting that out, because then you're like, well, what's actually happening here? Am I using this food to escape, or am I using this food because it tastes good, or because I'm just enjoying it, or because I'm actually hungry? And some of the work that I do with women is sometimes just learning, number one, when you're full and when you're hungry. Because it's incredibly amazing that we sometimes don't recognize those two cues, when I'm hungry and when I'm full, and when I'm supposed to eat.
You're talking about like paying attention to your body and not letting hunger or the urges of food, paying attention to your body versus what your body's craving.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, because that has been the number one thing that has kept me I've kind of kept my weight off for the last 5 years. Awesome. Except the baby. I just had a baby. Like, not just, but 18-month-old. So I say baby weight don't count.
I'm like, come on,
baby weight don't count.
Can we give yourself some grace for for bringing a person into the world?
Come on now. So, but the key for me has been paying attention to what my body actually needs. There are times when I eat ice cream and I do it up. And that's because there's nothing wrong with ice cream. There's no bad food. Ice cream is really tasty. It is really tasty. And there's nothing wrong with it. So I get really, this whole diet mentality, diet culture, I got really tired of diet culture telling me that these foods were bad, carbs are bad, when they are not. Like, we need carbs. They're in fruit, they're everywhere. And so I have learned to allow myself to have everything that I want. And because I can literally have anything that I want, I learn how to savor it, enjoy it. And that equals me having a healthy relationship with food, because I don't think that I'll never be able to have it again. Like, if I want to have ice cream, I can go have ice cream. And when I'm done with it, I can put it up. Yeah. And have it another time. Yeah. That's what healthy relationship with food looks like. Being able to enjoy things in moderation when your body wants it, and then putting it up when you've had enough. And being able to know that for yourself is so important. It's so important.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think that would reduce the yo-yoing that you're talking about. Absolutely. If you're saying to yourself, ice cream isn't off the table forever and ever, amen, then there's not the heavy restriction, right? And so you can give yourself that permission in moderation, what that looks like for you to say, I'm going to have ice cream today.
I'm going to have some ice, and I'm going to enjoy it. without guilt, without judgment. I'm going to enjoy it because it is okay. When I have a 10-year-old, when I'm with my 10-year-old, when we want to go and get a treat, like some ice cream, like just to enjoy us and celebrate, like whatever, it's okay. It is okay.
It is.
You know, but in my past life, it was never okay because I was always on a diet. I always had to eat. I always tracked my macros. I had to eat a certain amount of carbs, a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of fat. And if I didn't, I beat myself up because I wasn't able to be good that week. And then I would have a treat meal on the weekend or once a month. And then, you know what I would do, Alicia? Weekend, once a month, when I had my treat meal, I would go out for a whole 6 months and undo everything that I did.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm tired. I'm tired.
I want the ice cream. Now. I want the ice cream. Not only am I going to have this ice cream, I'm going to have some cake. I'm going to go get some Chinese food. I'm going to have all of it that I've been restricting myself from. And then that's how and it's so illogical because what then starts, I get the message that I'm bad. I'm a quitter. But no, you're not. It's just that you're not supposed to have that restriction in your life.
What I'm really hearing is like not making a punitive relationship with food. There's this thought that we have to be punished.
Yeah.
And so releasing that to say enjoying food in moderation and what that looks like for you.
Yeah.
And it sounds like in this program you're walking people through this, like navigating what wellness looks like, what are healthy options, and what is moderation, and what does that look like for you?
Absolutely. And understanding your triggers. So if I am triggered, for example, like, I said, end of the day or Fridays, that was my trigger. Fridays mean ice cream.
Yes.
Or if I feel out of control, then I need to control something. So let me control by using food to control. So that's a trigger. And so understanding how the function of food in your life is so important. And if you can understand the function of food in your life, then you can do better at managing your relationship with food.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. How does food function in your life? It's a question I think that, we all need to ask ourselves. And so, you talked about getting to a space in your wellness walk where you were trying to figure out for yourself what was comfortable for you, for your body, and then embracing your body once you reach that goal.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of talk about body positivity because one, the systems in our world attach so many names, especially for Black women. I was so tired of being called thick because I was like, what am I, soup? I just like, hearing these words.
Yeah.
And so what for you, what does that look like? Body positivity and wellness and fitness and making sure it's in a space of self-acceptance.
Yeah. And so, that term body positivity, it is a big term for me because I've come to this space of not even wanting to be positive about my body. It's more about being neutral about my body and being able to accept my body for what it is, whether it is not always positive, because I won't always be positive. Because look, to be honest with you, I have cellulite and I have loose skin.
Who does that?
Who does it? I'm a real woman.
Yes.
I am a 100% real woman who's had kids, who I'm 40. Oh, I'm over 40. I am, listen, I've yo-yo dieted all of my life, not most, all of my life. My body has been on a journey.
Yeah.
And self-acceptance is being able to accept my body as it is, not positive, not negative, but as it is. As it is.
You talking radical acceptance. Yeah.
Radical acceptance. So that means that some days I am not feeling my cellulite. I am not feeling it. And it's okay.
And it's okay.
There'll be some days where I'm like, okay, body. And it's okay.
I heard Tiffany Haddish in my head say, she ready. That's what
she ready. Ready. And it's okay. And allowing myself to occupy that space. That's what it means to me. And it took me so long to get there. It took me so long to get there because, talking about that thickness, right? We tend to look at pop culture and believe that we are supposed to look like that image that we see on social media or that we see in the rap videos or whatever media you attend to, right? We think that we have to look like that. But, I don't, because my body is an expression and what God needed my body to look like. And we all have different bodies. Like my body is for a particular, like I remember I have a particular person that I talk to, and they are really small and tall and lanky because they run track. They are gifted in track. So their body needs to be that way.
Absolutely.
I got these big old hips and these thighs. My body will never run track. And I'm glad because I don't have an interest in it. But my body is what I need it to be based on my purpose in life, based on what I need to be doing in my life. And that's why I've been given the body that I've been given. Not only that, but my body represents my family. Absolutely. I got these long toes, and that's how people know that I'm a Presley.
Just say long toes.
I got these long toes, Alicia. I have these long toes, and that's how you know I'm a Presley, because we all have them.
Can we talk about accepting your body from your head to your toes, literally? Okay.
The long toes. You know the long toe that hang over your shoe? I got one of those.
Yes.
And it's okay because it represents something. I think about like Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg looks just like her mom. Like twins. But her face has been ridiculed most of her life. And it's beautiful. But you know what? It doesn't matter if it's beautiful or not. I bet you Whoopi Goldberg loves her face because her face, when she looks in the mirror, all she sees is her mom.
Absolutely.
And so that means more to her than anything else. Because our body is what we need it to be, and it represents so many different things.
Absolutely.
And so that's been my journey with body acceptance, body neutrality, being able to accept me for me. And my little girl is here. She's she's walked into the room.
She said, "I found you, Mommy.
I found you." Yes. Oh. Okay. All right. So yes.
Body neutrality. I love it.
Yeah.
And you speak in my language because I am a person. I'm an emotional person.
Yeah.
And so my emotions never gave me the luxury to push them down very much. Right. Yeah. They were just there, and I had to learn to navigate and walk through them. And so a part of really what I'm hearing you say, it's like you have to embrace and accept your feelings about your body on any given day, and not force yourself to like something when you're not in a space where you don't like it. Like
you just don't
lie
like
to yourself.
You don't like it.
And know that that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay. And so reframing it. So
that's the important thing.
Yeah, reframing it.
The reframe is important, but not only that, Alicia, but understanding why you may not like it. because you may not like it because of what the media says. You may not like it because when you were young, your auntie said you shouldn't have these big old hips, or maybe because you had sexual trauma. You know, a lot of us have sexual trauma where we were just like our bodies were objectified. And so I want to escape this body that I have because it caused me harm. Absolutely. So I don't like it. Absolutely. Why don't I like my body? Why don't I like this part of my body? And so before you can get to the reframe, you got to get to the frame. What do I actually see when I look in the mirror? Mm-hmm. And if you can identify what does this body mean for me, then you can begin to address that part of it and make peace with it, begin to embrace it for all that it actually is. And then you know what comes? Celebration comes after that.
That's beautiful.
Right? And so I go around and I teach girls and women about just embracing and celebrating their body. I do these workshops called Hello Body. And it's because I developed a journal from my own journey. Mm-hmm. And so I do these Hello Body workshops and I love it. Every workshop is different, but every workshop is the same in the sense that it always leaves the people in tears because they begin to unpack what's in that frame, what's in the frame in terms of how I'm seeing myself. And it's so important to understand.
That is beautiful. Mm-hmm. Hello Body. That sounds like some intense work, like where you are having a conversation with your body.
Absolutely. And we do it. We have conversations with our body from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep.
Yes. You know, and so I remember, and I'm, aging myself, when, the only thing that we really had to use to criticize our body was TV, music videos, and the magazines.
Yeah.
Now, women, teenagers are looking at things that are just completely not possible, like filters, and then also surgeries and things of that nature that are popping up, and so there's been a spectrum of acceptance in that, right, where women are saying, hey, I'm going to get the surgery because this is what I want my body to look like.
And it's such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
It is such a sensitive topic.
It is.
Yeah. But have you ever asked yourself, like, why now? Like, what about the culture right now that is promoting the surgeries? BBL is the most dangerous surgery that you can ever have, the most lethal surgery that you could have. Mm-hmm. Why now?
Why?
When Black women never got surgery before, or we never heard of it. Mm-hmm. Why now? Why now? Why now? What's going on in the culture right now that it's making it such a big deal? So much so that we are going and changing our entire face where I can't even recognize you anymore. Like I cannot even, like, who are you? Because I don't even know who you are anymore looking at you. Changing our entire face. Like, there are women that are getting their eyes done.
Their eyes? Wow.
They're getting the pupils in their eyes.
Oh, okay. Instead of contact lenses like we used to have back in the day.
They are getting instead of just
color
contact,
changed.
They're getting their eyes color changed. You can go blind.
My goodness.
Why now? And so what I've been studying is, of course, the impact of slavery on how we see our bodies.
Ooh.
Because that opens Pandora's worm, right? Pandora's box.
Well, I can only imagine, because people act like it was me and my husband. We have these random deep conversations.
Good.
And he was talking. He said, "Man, I did not know that Harriet Tubman was alive in the 1990s. In the 1900s." I said, "People act like slavery was so long ago."
Yes.
My parents were alive during the Civil Rights Movement.
Yes.
And the things that have impacted us from slavery, it's not just, it's not so far off. It's not as far off as we believe. And so, we are just in a place. Mm-hmm. We are just in a place in 2021 where we are okay with seeing multiple shades of brown on the TV screen at one time. Or just in a place.
Just in a place. Or how about us having to, like last year or this year, fight for the ability to just wear our hair as it grows out of our scalp? Like, how about that? Like, we are just now, are just now getting, like this year, just this year, or maybe last year, I can't remember, just now getting the ability to wear our hair naturally in the workplace. That's how deep this goes. Mm-hmm. So to me, a part of it, Alicia, is really self-hatred. Mm-hmm. A part of this is self-hatred.
I agree. I think, and we could go forever in this topic, but I think that a part for this year, I just wrote a post about it this morning. What has this year been for me? And this year has definitely been a year of radical acceptance, and sometimes accepting some very, very painful things about yourself. Yeah. And also about the people who are directly attached to you. And so you have to accept your hips. My hips, I call them countertops. I'm actually one size. My torso is one size, and my lower half is a completely different size. So it's like I have grown to accept that about myself. Yeah. There are days that I feel happy about it, like exactly. And there are days where I'm like,
neutrality. It's neutral. Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a part of me. It's a part of my grandmother. My grandmother, my father's mother, had shapely hips, and I'm attached to her. So it's a part of, like you said, embracing that. And this goes to our conversation we had last week, embracing our legacy and embracing who we are. And so to shift that, the part that I was always curious about for families that like the Kardashians would put them up as like, say they have children, but their children don't look like them because they get these surgeries.
Yeah.
Not laughing at them, just the thought though that you don't see yourself. And I wonder what that looks like for their children and what message that gives them.
Yeah. I literally was watching a commercial the other day with the Kardashian on it, little girl, and I had the same exact thought of, I wonder how she her face is visibly different from even when she started on the show like a couple of years, 10 years ago or so. Right. So even if it's different from that, and her baby looks totally different from her, like what's going on with that? Like, I wonder if she thinks about that and how she's going to explain that to her child. Mm-hmm. Like, I do wonder that. And that's something that I am really, especially because I have a little girl now, that is something that is at the forefront of my mind in terms of what is she learning from me in terms of legacy? What is she learning from me? What is she picking up on? Because they watch everything. How I wear my hair. Does my hair look like hers? How do I accept and embrace my complexion, this complexion that I have? Everything means something to them. They're learning through us how we live our life.
Absolutely.
And so it's important that we live our lives intentionally because we have little ones watching.
We do. So I wanted to make sure people can find you.
Yes.
Because just perusing your social media and seeing one on your platform, how do you have actually a lot going on to serve us, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. We tend to try to like compartmentalize everything And I see you serving us, like serving the whole person.
It's so important to me. It's so important to me. I am very, very passionate about family legacy, about rehabilitating our lives or rehabilitating our family legacies through living our best lives. And we get that choice. We don't have to, you know that meme. Sometimes memes hit okay.
Yeah.
Right? That meme that talks about it wasn't your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Absolutely.
I live that. I live that. I have rehabilitated my life and am rehabilitating my life so that my family legacy, the generations that come from me, will be blessed and will be able to walk in what I'm working hard to facilitate now. Absolutely. And so it is extremely important to me. And I believe that it's so important that I address it from a whole body perspective. You're right. I believe in balance. I believe that everything affects everything, right? And so you're absolutely right. If you want to connect with me in any kind of way, first line of defense is my website, which is www.rehabilitateyourlife.com. And then on social media, at Rehabilitate Your Life. And if you are someone that needs that message of body neutrality, then it's Bodacious Body Love, at Bodacious Body Love. And then I also have a group that I'm starting, the Reconnect to Eating group. And that helps with the whole, how do I develop my relationship with food, that part of it. So I do have a lot going on.
Yes, I saw it. And I was like, I said, woo, this girl is working.
Yeah.
And and it made me proud. It made me proud to see another beautiful Black woman creating something that's helping us heal in a space that's warm, inviting, in a space that's brave, and in a space that's beautiful. So I'm so thankful that we connected on social media, and that and we can continue to work together. I don't want this to be our last interview.
It doesn't have to. I will come to Michigan. I like to travel now.
Same.
Same.
So I do not want this to be our last interview at all. And I am so glad and grateful that our paths cross, and so grateful for the work that you're doing. It's so meaningful. It's so powerful.
And likewise. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. And I wish you the best. May this year blow your mind.
Thank you.
For sure. And I'm gonna let the little one, because she's about to break up our party.
Yes, she is. Thank you for letting me be mommy today.
Of course. As a mom, I know the children do not. They do not care about your agenda.
She came and she found me. She was like, "Where is my mother?"
Yes. So.
Yeah.